It sounds like Jennifer Lopez has had to face the reality of her recent album, movie, and documentary not doing as well as she hoped, as she's reportedly had to cancel several shows on her upcoming tour. Because yes, it was also in her plan to tour this project around, but due to low ticket sales, changes have had to be made, and reports are saying she's devastated by this whole thing. Now, it's totally upsetting for something like this to happen when you've done so much and really thought it was going to be this huge success, and then to have it kind of blow up in your face. But a lot of people think that JLo ignored a lot of the signs when it came to these projects surrounding her new album and was just overly ambitious with the whole thing, thinking that it was going to do way better than it actually was. And the fact that now she's just asking for way too much when it comes to the pricing of these concert tickets that she's trying to sell. I mean, for what is being reported about her album sales, it's crazy to hear that these tickets were priced at over sometimes $1,000 to be on the floor. In a recent video, I talked about how JLo is being clowned online right now, specifically on TikTok for all that she's been releasing, with tons of people saying nobody loves JLo more than JLo, feeling like the proof was here in these recent releases. She just put out her latest album titled This Is Me Now, and along with it, she put out a movie called This Is Me Now, A Love Story. It's this massive musical production that all of these studios warned her not to do because these types of projects were not selling, but she insisted and put her own money into it. And I'm talking about $20 million of her own money she put into this because she believed in it that much, despite what the studios were telling her was doing well and what wasn't right now. Her team was also hyping her up around this whole project, which some believe they shouldn't have, because having a bunch of yes men around you will land you in a position like this where your reality is kind of distorted, and she probably thought it was gonna do amazing, and then it didn't. It did exactly how the studios told her it was going to do. And obviously there are times where you hear stories where the studios are like, no, that's never going to work, and then things do work out and it's amazing, it's this big thing. But I mean, clearly this was one of the times where maybe she should have listened to what they were saying here, because it wasn't this huge success that she had hoped it to be. Plus, she had also made a documentary surrounding the whole behind the scenes of making the movie, and talked about how she didn't want to just put out music and have there just be a single and a music video. She wanted this whole visual album experience. And I mean, it was grand, I will say that. Like, she put that money in, you could see that money come through the screen because it was very much giving high budget, but it just didn't hit the way that she had hoped. And obviously she lost money by doing this. In the end, the album made records, but not the kind that she wanted it to be, with reports from Forbes saying that as it launches at number 38, just barely inside the top 40, This Is Me Now instantly becomes the lowest charting title on the Billboard 200 of Lopez's career. And it had been 10 years since her last album and 22 years since she put out This Is Me Then, which is the album that had hits on it like Jenny from the Block. This was supposed to be her big comeback, and for it to be low on the charts was certainly not something that her and her team saw coming, or anything that anyone was really like knowing about. I feel like not that many people were talking about, oh, JLo is about to make this big comeback. Like, it wasn't very hyped. I feel like they spent all of their money on making all these things and not so much the marketing aspect of the whole thing. Like, there was really no hype around this. And in the documentary, I mean, she talked about how meaningful this whole project was, and how this was all kind of like dedicated to her relationship with Ben Affleck and them coming back together after all of this time. And she had this love story that she wanted to share with everyone. But something about it all just did not hit with the public. And now she's seemingly having to face that reality when it comes to this tour that she had planned surrounding all these projects. I also just think that so much came out at once, like an album, a movie, a documentary, like all of these things, and then a tour. Like, everything is happening all at once. I feel like each thing needed to be marketed separately and given its own time. But back in February, she announced on the Today Show that she would be hitting the road with her This Is Me Now tour. It was going to be a 30+ city tour, and tickets were set to go on sale at the end of February. And at the time of the sale was pretty much when the backlash really started for her, because people were not happy about the prices that these tickets were being sold at.
JLo, Jennifer just looked at the ticket prices for your show. $450? Did you mean that? Was that an accident? I need to have a session with your Delulu coach, because you are I think you need to go back and listen to your new album, because then you'll be like, oh, I shouldn't be charging people this much. You need to have at least this many Grammys to be able to charge that. That's $100 more than what I paid for Beyonce, and she has this many Grammys.
So Jennifer Lopez concert tickets just went on sale, right? The pre-sale. And you know me, I had to check ticket prices. So I looked. The cheapest tickets they have is $79.95 for the JLO fan club pre-sale, okay? And that's for section 200, all the way up there, okay? And this is for Rosemont Theater, which is tiny. Now, I wanted to check here from F2. This is F2, $1,495 to go see Jennifer Lopez at Rosemont Theater. Pause. Jennifer, aren't you Jenny from the block? These ticket prices? Didn't you learn from Bad Bunny? Who's paying these ticket prices? Who? What are you? Mira, que tú estás pensando, tú no eres Jenny from the block anymore. Like $79, $80 basically without fees. It's okay, section 200. But $1,500 basically? Stop it.
One girl even talked about on TikTok how a tour like this might not even be on brand for JLo right now, and that a Vegas residency might have hit way more for her.
$400 to see Jennifer Lopez in this economy? I'm not a musician, I'm not an artist, I'm not a pop star, but I feel like at a certain point, you gotta realize we aren't where we were 20 years ago. Times have changed, music has changed, and the landscape has changed, and sometimes a huge tour is just not what it's giving. And that is not even shade to Jennifer Lopez to say nobody wants to see her or nobody else wants to see anybody else whose tour got canceled or date got canceled. Like, that's not the case. But we gotta think about smaller venues. We gotta think about residencies. I feel like JLo could definitely have a residency. And this isn't like, 20, 30 years ago where the only people with Vegas residencies are like washed up, retired pop stars of the past, like Celine Dion, who's never washed up, by the way, or like Siegfried and Roy or somebody. Like, we have Usher had one of the most successful residencies to date, sold out shows week after week after week for over a year. Adele had a residency. Come on. I'm saying this as somebody who liked Jennifer Lopez's music. Again, I don't care who's singing it, but I like her music and I think she made fun songs. So if I was in Vegas, I'd be like, yeah, I'd go to a JLo residency. Would I pay for tickets right now to go to an independent JLo show? Probably not. Level 200 seating, $371. And that's not even including all the freaking taxes and fees. So I'm gonna pay over $400? I paid $600 after all the taxes and fees to see Beyonce, and I was on the floor.
Like, to be selling seats that are more expensive than Beyonce is crazy when the numbers just are not there for this album. Like, that's just a hefty price tag on tickets like this for an album that wasn't number one. People had also responded to all these people that were talking about the ticket prices on TikTok saying, I paid $500 for Renaissance, so no way I will pay more than $50 for JLo. Most I'd pay to see JLo was $35. That's after the fees. $50, take it or leave it. And with multiple people talking about paying for tickets that are under $100 or even less than $50, there was no way that she was going to be selling tickets for $1,000+ A few days prior to the tickets going on sale is when the album came out, but I guess they didn't adjust prices despite the album not doing as well as she hoped. And it seems those prices still haven't gone down because I'm looking everything up for this video right now, and I went to go look at how much some of these seats are, and it's still about the same as the day that they went on sale. It's still freaking expensive. For the LA show, I was seeing $705 for the pit tickets by the stage, $550 for the floor, $100 plus for the nosebleeds, and there's even a ticket that is $3,500. It's a VIP side of the stage. It does include a meet and greet with JLo, which is kind of surprising because I feel like no one's really doing meet and greets anymore, but $3,500 really expensive. I mean, I know JLo has been around forever, but with the album just not hitting as hard as people expected, we cannot be charging #1 prices, because these prices are expensive. And this is me looking at them as of April 2nd. And well, after it's come out that she's had to cancel some shows due to low ticket sales, I mean, you would think that they would drop. Variety reported on March 14th that Jennifer Lopez has canceled 7 dates of her first North American tour in 5 years in support of her new album, This Is Me Now, and its pair of companion films. The dates spanning August 20th to the 31st in Cleveland, Nashville, Raleigh, Atlanta, Tampa, New Orleans, and Houston were listed as canceled on Ticketmaster at some point on Wednesday. The Cleveland and Houston dates apparently had been removed from the itinerary earlier, as they were part of the tour's originally announced itinerary on February 15th, but are no longer present on the site at all. An updated itinerary can be found on her social media accounts. While the tour is still scheduled for a robust 30 shows, large numbers of tickets at most of the tour's dates remain unsold, judging by the seating chart on Ticketmaster.com. While such charts are not always completely accurate, the blue available segments of the seating charts on most dates are overwhelmingly larger than the gray unavailable ones. They did say that shows were added to Miami, Toronto, and her hometown of New York a week after the tour was announced due to a demand that I cannot see, but even looking at those dates, it doesn't look anywhere near sold out. Like, look at all these blue dots, and there's 2 shows in Miami, so this is just one of the shows. The other one looks exactly the same in terms of not that much of it is sold out, and this is supposed to be one of the in-demand cities. But this whole situation has just been such a mess, and her former publicist even came out to speak about this, commenting to the New York Post, saying Jennifer's always been a marketing and PR genius, but her biggest miscalculation here is that she thinks the world is still interested in Ben and Jennifer's love story. Shutter told the Post, but no one cares about Bennifer anymore. The world has moved on. I mean, maybe that's the thing here, where she thought that people were going to be like, oh my gosh, she's going to tell the story of how her and Ben got together after all these years, and we're going to be super invested. But I also just feel like that wasn't even marketed around. I feel like I had to watch the documentary to actually see that that's what the album was about, and that's what the movie was about. It was supposed to be about their love, but if I didn't watch the documentary, I wouldn't have known that. I wish there were like more interviews, or like the 2 of them had gone out and done press together to maybe display that. I don't know if people would have really been that interested, but I mean, maybe it would have helped at least people knowing what this was all about. But it has just not been her time lately. Like I mentioned in my previous video, JLo has also just faced a ton of backlash for old videos of her and clips from her current documentary, getting diva and out of touch vibes from her. So in general, it's just not been the best right now. But that is what has been going on with JLo and what people have been saying. Let me know what you guys think about all of this in the comments. I love you guys so much, and I will talk to you in the next video. Bye, guys.